Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the Arizona Telemedicine Program and Southwest Telehealth Resource Center, my name is Janet Major, and I serve as the Associate Director for Outreach, Education, and Facilities. And we have partnered with the Arizona Department of Health Services to produce an exciting program that we call Office Hours. It's informal, it's maybe more like a water cooler than office hours, but we pick an exciting topic that we think people want to know more about and create the opportunity to share a little information and resources and answer questions. It's a virtual office hours, and welcome. We're happy to have you here. Today, our program is about the emergency broadband benefit, which I hope you've heard of. It's something that has been a great way to help the communities that we serve save money on their internet connectivity. And some of the greatest challenges about this program administered by USAC and the FCC is that it's something that can provide families $50 to $75 a month reimbursement plus money for technology. Sounds simple, right? It's not so simple. And to get the information to the people who can help the people apply is really why we hope you're here today and what we've worked very hard to do. And today you have the opportunity, I have the honor of introducing you to the A-team of this grassroots movement here in Arizona. So I have had the opportunity for many years, along with Mala and others on our team, to participate in the Arizona Telecommunications and Information Council. This group has put together a state broadband stakeholder network, and this consists of a lot of folks who then also have served since April of 2020 on a COVID-19 digital access task force. We've been begging and borrowing hotspots and doing everything we can to help people get connected, help write grants, help connect people as partners on potential grants. We've done quite a bit to build resources. And one of the most amazing, impressive resources that has been built will be shared with you today from the folks who are on that A-team. So the Digital Access Task Force and several of the organizations that we are here representing today includes our state broadband director, the Arizona Department of Education, our state libraries. We have the best libraries on the planet. The E-Rate Administrative Library, who's with us today, Arizona Public Safety Manager, the Executive Director of different educational organizations, Internet Service Providers, and then our program as well. And we've all pulled together to work on many different ways and creative ways that we can help people get connected. And one of the most interesting things happening right now is the EBB program, because it isn't a grant. This is direct to consumer help. This is something that can immediately be of benefit to the families that we serve and helps the people who need it the most. So I would like to start by introducing Tracy Beal, who's the Executive Director of School Connect, and she will tell us more about her team members who have helped build this amazing website and many of the resources that will be shared today. Take it away, Tracy.
I'm so glad to be here with everybody today. I have the privilege of working with Mala Muralidharan, Nicole Umayam, and Brandon Knight. And we have been, we kind of met each other through the Arizona Broadband Network Task Force. And last July, we were kind of watching how COVID-19 was doing in the state and listening to our education folks say that school was going to start completely online the first week of August. And we realized at that moment that something had to be done because so many people were not connected. And there was lots of information out there, but it was difficult to find. And it wasn't always in English and Spanish, other languages. And so our little group got together and we said, how do we create an amazing resource that will be easy to find, easy to look at on a phone in English and Spanish, and would create an atmosphere where if you do not have internet, you could take a phone and look for where internet free Wi-Fi hotspot openings could be around the state. And we began to think about all the different sides of how to make this accessible to families, to kids, to individuals who were struggling to have connectivity. And that's when some of the phenomenal work of Nicole and her team ended up pulling together this website. And I had the privilege of kind of facilitating the group as we were doing the work. and was able to say, if I can understand it, then almost anybody can understand it. So that was the great part about this. And again, it's called connect-arizona.com. And after we first launched this, Nicole's going to explain it and show it to you. But after we first launched this, over time, we started realizing more of the resources like the EBB program that we wanted to add to that website. So Nicole, I'm going to introduce you next. We're getting ready to hear from the famous person who was able to pull these resources together. Nicole is a digital inclusion library consultant for the Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records. If you have to put that on your business card, you deserve, a hero's medal. So Nicole supports small, rural, urban, tribal, and academic libraries throughout Arizona on digital equity initiatives, including Wi-Fi hotspot and laptop lending, tech training for libraries, community-based digital preservation, and improving library broadband networks. She has a master's degree. I did not know this until I read your bio, in applied linguistics, and a master's in library and information studies from the University of Oklahoma. Take it away.
Thanks, Tracy. And, I just really wanted to emphasize that this is truly an all hands on deck effort. And, really thanks to everybody on our team for, helping spread the word. And, it's definitely not something that one person does alone. I think we all know that, but just bear with me really quickly as I get my screen set up. Okay, are you seeing a PowerPoint slide? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the name of the game today is, of course, the emergency broadband benefit, but I wanted to make sure, we reference this thing called the digital divide, but I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page about the numbers and really the locations and the types of communities that are most heavily impacted by the digital divide. So on the left here, we have a map of Arizona, and it's actually divided by census tract. And this is showing us the census tracts that have the highest percentage of no internet access. It's a little bit confusing there. And of course, we're big fans of public libraries. So those orange dots are actually indicating all of the public library outlets throughout the state. We know that a lot of people who don't have home internet access rely on the public library for Wi-Fi. And as we get to talking about the map, you'll kind of see why we were able to start with that information. The estimates are that really 81% of Arizona households have broadband access, which means that almost 20% don't, right? And then same that goes to computer use. So it's not enough to just have internet access, but you need a device that will meet your needs while you're trying to get online. So we know that oftentimes low-income households will be reliant on a cell phone alone, but if we're truly thinking about digital equity where everybody's empowered to meet their needs online, learn, access telehealth services, distance learning types of things, government resources, they really want a device that's going to meet all of those needs. And typically that involves a keyboard, sometimes a webcam, and those sorts of things. It's a little bit harder to capture data for tribal lands, but we know from national data that 65% of households on rural tribal lands are also disconnected. So we can keep this in mind when we're thinking about that statewide picture. And of course, during the pandemic, we had a lot of attention on this phenomenon called the homework gap, which is actually the outcome of the digital divide and its impact on K-12 students. So where we see an increase in homework that requires online access, or in the case of schools being closed, you have to be online to be able to engage in virtual schooling. We had estimates of about 335,000 students who did not even have internet access to be able to learn remotely. We also have surprising data that this includes 10% of teachers that don't have access to be able to provide some of that information and to teach online. So we know that the internet is so critical, but what exactly is going on to prevent people from getting online? For the most part, we hear people say, well, it's really about rural parts of the country, rural parts of the state that don't have access. They don't have broadband access out there. And while we know that that is true to some extent, the biggest barrier is actually the cost of service. So most of these people are in areas where there is some type of broadband service available, but they just don't have the income to be able to afford that service consistently. You'll notice in this first map here, we're also talking about service at 25 megabits per second download speed, which is kind of why that number looks so big and dramatic, because we want everyone to have reliable, consistent, and quality broadband internet service, and not maybe not internet service provided by things like dial-up or cell towers. And I think we've seen this slide before from Janet Major, but this is one of the first things that we mobilized on as a group, thinking about, all the stuff that we knew before the pandemic. Well, we knew people, students and individuals are really heavily relying on public libraries and other spaces for internet access when they're not able to afford that internet at home. And yet with libraries having to be closed, how are people going to be able to still get online, whether that's the parking lot or trying to be in a safe enclosed space as well. So because we are at the state library, we actually had some baseline data about public libraries and their Wi-Fi that was available in the parking lot. And we were able to reach out to other organizations as well to quickly stand up our public Wi-Fi map. Let me just take you to the website so I can show you. Okay, so our public website is connect-arizona.com. And if you take a look on our homepage, you can see a little taste of the different services and information that we provide. Like I mentioned, the first big effort of this group coming together was to spread as much information as we could about our free public Wi-Fi map. So this includes libraries, schools, and a lot of businesses or other types of public hotspots that are available. We decided to use Google Maps so that people could have directions to be able to get to all of these locations. And where we know things like network passwords, we put that information in as well. We started with a pretty small amount of locations, and we now have nearly 2,000 locations. And we know that this map is being used widely because we've had almost a 250,000 views for this map alone. So we knew we were on the right track there. But like I mentioned, the digital divide is really a kind of a more complicated picture than just, do you have internet or do you not have internet? Can you afford it at home or not? It's really about the comfort and confidence to use the internet, as well as making sure you have devices that will meet those needs. So we have been compiling information about all the internet offers that are available in Arizona that might be relevant to low-income households or people who need assistance getting signed up. So we'll talk about this column here a little bit later, but we've been able to provide this information and share it out widely with libraries and different community organizations. So there's kind of a consolidated place for this information, and it's also able to search by zip code, so that you can see all of the providers that are relevant to that zip code. Similarly, we know that devices can be cost prohibitive for some individuals. So we've been compiling all of the Arizona providers that offer discounted refurbished computers or desktops at cost for schools and nonprofits that are all available here. Most importantly, though, and what we will kind of have Brandon discuss in a little bit, is the idea of digital skills or digital literacy. For a lot of times, people who haven't used computers before or first-time internet users, they can really benefit from one-on-one assistance from a trusted person who's going to just provide them accurate information and be able to connect them with whatever their individual learning needs are. This is the type of thing that has already existed in public computer labs at libraries for a long time. They're the information hubs of their communities. But when the pandemic hit, we knew that we needed some way to be able to recreate this type of environment and service virtually, while we didn't really know how long things were going to be shut down. So our Digital Navigators is a totally free service to really help with any element of digital access and digital equity getting online, whether that's learning how to use a computer for the first time, or understanding what offers are eligible under EBB for your household, and all sorts of using the Wi-Fi map. Sometimes we get that as well, and really everything in between. We even help other libraries as they've started to do different types of virtual programming.
I'm going to show the EBB page.
Yes. I don't want to steal anyone's ammo, but here we are.
Just show it, and then Mala will go into
right.
detail.
So as you can see, this is really a collaborative digital equity initiative where we're trying to provide as much information broadly to get all of Arizona connected. Because of the work we had already put in, we were really in a great position to be an information resource for the EBB once it came out. So we did add our EBB page that Mala is going to introduce in just a second here. And that really is serving two purposes. One is just being information for individuals, as well as our assistance from navigators, and information for community organizations, telehealth providers, schools, and anybody who might want their customers and their clients to be able to have information about this as well. So I think with that, I'll transition over to our slides so we can hear from Mala. You ready to go, Mala?
And I'm going to introduce Mala. Yes. Mala is the E-rate administrator for public libraries, of course, again, for the Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records. She has been working with libraries since 1975. She's worked with academic, public, and special libraries in several countries across continents, and was instrumental in getting the first automated library system software in India. Oh my gosh, that's so cool, Mala. I didn't know that. For the last 20 years, Mala has been working at the State Library, assisting libraries with strategic planning and technology planning, and obtaining tech-related grants for Arizona libraries. Her single biggest contribution is getting affordable broadband to the public libraries with funding through the federal E-rate program. A large number of libraries are already at 100 megabytes per second bandwidth, and others are getting there. Mala volunteers her time teaching immigrant children math and English and helping in her faith-based community. Mala, tell us all about EBB.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you, Nicole, for that wonderful demo of the site. It looks really awesome when I see it through the PowerPoint. The E-rate program, if you haven't heard about it, is actually a reimbursement for the internet access to the library and the school doorstep, and then the internal connections for within the library and the school. It is only for libraries and schools. And the program started in 1998, and I have been involved in this program since 2001 when I joined the state library. And we have brought back millions of dollars to the state to reimburse internet costs for schools and libraries. They're called the anchor institutions for a reason, because right from there, then you can siphon or get the connection, fiber connections to the residences and businesses in that area. So just to tell you the size of this operation, this year alone, we had $125 million committed to schools and libraries for their internet access through the E-rate program, some of which is for fiber build out, but the rest is for actual recurring internet monthly bills. But even before the pandemic, we realized that this was so important. And in 2015, we did the BTOP grant to get libraries additional computers, because we knew people were coming to libraries to access the internet when they didn't have internet access at home. And we got additional computers for libraries. That was in 2015. And 2017, we started this program where if the state contributed 10% towards fiber, USAC, the E-rate administrative organization, will contribute 90%. So that brought about 2,500 miles of fiber around the state. So that sets the background for you of what we had been doing even before the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, we realized that this is a dire emergency and we really needed access now. We can't wait until this fiber build out is completed. So as a Band-Aid, we started offering parking lot Wi-Fi's, which Nicole talked about, which is also on the map, and antenna on bookmobiles, and so that they can be taken out into the rural areas and they can get internet connectivity at least sometime during the day. And then we started. Then we knew, of course, that there were other grants coming through. The CARES Act, which gave funding for our state library, used the funding for more hotspots, as well as for giving devices to libraries. But we went on to try to work with the federal government to create another program, and this EBB has been in conception almost for a year before it finally came out the way it did. And the rules as far as EBB goes, it was launched on 12th May, and it provides $3.2 billion in funding to subsidize the broadband at home for those who need it the most. And the sad part is, of course, that there is only $3.2 billion, even though we think of it as a lot of money. It isn't. If you look at it countrywide, it doesn't really last very long, and it is on a first come, first serve basis. Nicole, next slide, please. So the program itself, it's not very complicated. And I'm saying that because in comparison with the next program that's coming, that is ECF, the Emergency Connectivity Fund, we won't go there because that is again only for schools and libraries to offer it to patrons. But this is directly for the consumer, directly for the patrons. The eligibility for E-rate, for EBB, is that you either had to have a loss of income last year, or had been laid off, or if you're on SNAP, Medicaid, Lifeline, or the school lunch program, if any of the kids at home are on the school lunch program, or you're on a Pell Grant, or if the household income is below $99,000 for single filers and $198,000 for joint filers. So it is a big, broad range of eligibility. And what benefit does that give? If you find that you're in that category and you are eligible, the benefit is up to $50 a month for internet access if you're in the regular land, and if you're in tribal land, it is additional $25. So it's a $75 per month for households located in tribal lands. They don't have to be tribal folks, but if you're on a tribal land, you just have to show that that is the address for which you want that service. Additionally, the consumer can obtain desktop, laptop, or tablet computer from the participating service provider. The service provider that you're getting the internet access has to be participating in the program, and you can obtain a desktop, a laptop, or a tablet computer only through that service provider. If you do that, you do have to have a copay. There is some skin in the game, so you have to have a copay of at least $10 to $50, depending on what you choose as the device that you would like to have. Of course, the service provider gets discounted devices, again, subsidized by the federal government. That is why they're able to offer it to you. But the good thing is that they are offering it to you and as a part of this EBB grant. What is the application process like? You have to be verified through a national verifier database. I've given the link there, and if you Google National Verifier Database, you will come to that link. It is actually a link for a program that is a precursor to this called the Lifeline program. The Lifeline program was providing internet access for $9.95 to households that almost had the same kind of eligibility that I described earlier. And we found sadly that in Arizona, there are a lot of households that are eligible for this and are not applying for the Lifeline program. One of the main reasons is, of course, they really do not want to give their personal information to the service providers. They're scared of applying through the internet. Of course, if they don't have internet at home, then they have to go somewhere else to apply for it. And then that puts another scare into them, having to go out to do this. And so a lot of them are not subscribing to Lifeline, which is why we're here today to try to have you help support and give more information out about this program. Help us with the outreach. Next slide, please, Nicole. The application process itself is not complicated for someone who is used to filling government forms. But if you've never filled a government form, it can be daunting. So the things they ask for fall into those 4 categories that I've indicated in the white box. It is that you have to confirm your address. There has to be some proof. You can either upload your driver's license or some utility bill. If you live in a tribal land and there is no physical address, latitude, longitude will help with giving them the location of where you want this access. And if you're living in a household, in a multi-family place like a shelter or something like that, every individual family can get EBB, can apply for and get EBB. And then you have to confirm who is in your household, which show that is a unit that is financially tied together. Confirm your identity, of course, the same driver's license if you have it. If you don't have a card, don't have a driver's license, there are other forms that they would apply that are applicable. I'm not going to go through the list, but on the website, Get Emergency Broadband website, which I'll give you the URL in the last slide, that will take you right there and give you all of those various forms of identity. The last is that you must confirm that you qualify. And by what they mean by qualify is that you have to be eligible and meet one of those criteria so that you can get broadband benefit, get into the program, and then you certify and sign it. Now, if you do not have internet access at home, you of course will not be able to fill the form online. So you can either go to your local library and fill it out, or any place where there is access to the internet. Of course, Nicole's map, Connect-Arizona, will tell you where you can go to get internet access. Online is not the only way that you can apply. You can also download a copy of the paper application, print it out, take it home with you and apply. You can also call up your service provider and they will read the questions to you. You can fill it out, but they will send it to you for certification, because the certification and signature has to be done by the person who's applying. Then the second step is uploading the documents that are to be verified, that verify all those things that they've asked for verification. And that can be done either by capturing a picture of it and uploading it, or if you go to the library, they will scan it for you and you can upload it. You can then call your service provider. Once you do this national verifier, they will send back something to your phone or email to tell you that you have been approved. When you get that approval, you go call your service provider and let them know that you have been approved. And hopefully, if they are people who, if that service provider is one that is participating in the program, then you can, they will get that switch, they will switch the service to the EBB service for you, and the billing will come through that service. Again, to know whether your service provider is participating or not in the program, Connect-Arizona has a link that you can go to on the site to see if you are, if your service provider is participating in the program. The last step there is you have to select your device and do the copay. Either you do the copay charging it to your credit card, debit card, whatever, or the service provider will accept to give you credit for that on your first bill. And just a note for those who are signing up, please, 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 when you sign up, make sure that you read the contract carefully, and hopefully they haven't slipped in a clause that says, if the program funds run out, then you will be automatically switched to full payment. So if there is something like that and you have to opt in or opt out, be sure that you opt out of it so that you can get back into the Lifeline program rather than pay full fee for the broadband. As Nicole pointed out, you know, affordability is the biggest hindrance to people getting internet access, especially if they've lost their jobs. That would be the last thing that they, you know, want to pay for. Next slide, please, Nicole. So this is how you can help. And this is the last slide. And I just want to share with you why we are doing this, because we would like you to learn more about the program. We'd like you to promote it to those who need it most, because you are grassroots level, you are in touch with the folks that need it. And especially if they are people who require medical help through your telemedicine program, they are the ones who are going to need this the most. So if you can promote it to them and direct those who need more help to our navigators, they are willing and waiting to help you. And those links there on that slide are important links that you need to, if you have access to the slides, you can get it and connect to those websites and download all that kind of information that will help you help those who need it the most.
And I will forward the slides once I receive them to all the participants today. So later on today, you should get the slides.
Thank you, Chris. And back to you, Tracy.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight that so much of this is right on the connect-arizona.com website. So information about EBB that you can go to, the process, links, it's beautiful. It's right there. So I encourage you to do that. Our third person that we get to hear from is Brandon Knight. He is the Connect Arizona project manager. So he is overseeing a team of 7 digital navigators who are available for remote assistance and tutoring with technology. Since EBB's rollout, they've been helping clients navigate the online application process. And they've been also gathering information directly from internet service providers on what is and is not offered with EBB plans and how to get those set up. I can't emphasize enough what a gift having these digital navigators is. We would love it for them to get as many calls as they could handle. So when you hear Brandon talk about what he does, just remember this is available to anybody. We sure would love them to be able to help all the people that you connect with. Brandon?
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Mala and Nicole, for providing that wonderful information on both our Connect Arizona program and on EBB. So like Tracy mentioned, I'm head of a team of 7 digital navigators. We work directly with the public remotely. We're all exclusively online via email, text, and phone call. We also do Zoom sessions with our clients, so we're able to share their screen. And if they need us to, not with EBB applications, but with helping with tech, we can actually remote view their screen and help them out with things as well. Primarily what we handle, kind of our bread and butter, are tech tutoring. So we provide free tutoring services to clients. We help them navigate and learn about things like the Microsoft package, MS Word, Excel, basic computing, so browsing the web, creating an email, registering for things, privacy concerns, safety concerns on the web. We do all of that with clients, available on demand via phone call, or you can schedule an appointment with us as well. We can provide tutoring. And then we also handle just basic tech questions that pop up. So everything from, I need information about EBB because I'm looking to apply for it, to an issue that they're having with their devices. My phone is doing something weird, it's glitchy, can you help me with this? So we also do provide that one-on-one assistance. And then with EBB, we are both helping clients through the online process. So we're helping them navigate to the Get Emergency Broadband site. We're helping them check for qualification and start the application process. And then what we're also doing is actually contacting internet service providers. And we're trying to, as best as we can, get on the ground experience with what it's like to apply for EBB and then to go to an internet service provider and get hooked up with them. So in doing this, we have learned a few things about internet service providers and the process that is a little different, than from what the application process is advertised as. And I wanted to share some information with you on that today. So the standard EBB application process is, as Mala described, it's to check for qualification on the USAC site. They have a wonderful page where you can go down and check if you qualify for EBB directly off of there. So we direct clients to go directly to that site and check their qualification first. And then you actually do want to, we recommend contacting the internet service providers before you start the application process, because we've helped a few clients where it's a little different in this regard. Most of them want you to go through USAC. That's kind of, they want you to either apply through online process or mail before you contact them. But we've ran into a couple where they actually had their own application process that you had to go through with them before you could go and apply through Lifeline or through USAC, through the EBB process. Another thing that we're finding that's more common than not, actually, with internet service providers is they may want you to have a pre-existing account with them before you actually sign up for EBB. So that might be just that you register for or sign up for an internet plan before you apply for EBB, or it might be in the case we found with T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile, they actually had a hard pre-existing customer deadline of before March 10th, 2021. And anybody that's looking to come to them directly, as a new service actually would not qualify. So that's, again, kind of like fine print details that you wouldn't think of until you actually start to go through the process and see what they're providing. And then let's see. So yeah, some questions you may want to ask the internet service provider as well. First and foremost, if you have a local internet service provider, or if you currently are with that provider, you're going to want to check and see if they have an EBB qualifying program. Some actually don't participate. Some offer plans that are a little pricier than maybe what you want to spend in the copay. So yeah, it's always important to ask information about that. And let's see. Oh, and then I wanted to mention also, in shopping around for internet service providers, there are several areas, in particular in rural and tribal ends in Arizona, who only have like one internet service provider. So they're very vulnerable to their ISP, first having broadband internet available, and second, deciding to opt in or not to EBB. So there's still inequality going on with EBB, which is unfortunate. So yeah, once you check with the internet service provider, then you go through the application process on USAC using the Lifeline National Verifier, like Mala mentioned. And once approved, you're going to apply the EBB to the plan with internet service provider. We found that this process is a little different provider to provider. Some actually want the clients to come into the actual physical store and get all signed up with them or apply the plan with them that way. Some offer an online registration for that, and some offer like a choice between the two. So yeah, you're going to want to see what the steps are with your internet service provider on actually applying EBB. And then once EBB is applied to your plan, just like Mala said, it's going to appear as a direct discount or subtraction from your monthly payment up to $50 a month, $75 for tribal lands, and a one-time discount of $100 for a device if that is offered. So that's another thing you want to ask your internet service provider. Are they offering devices? Because a lot aren't. We found that most actually aren't offering a device as part of the plan. And next slide, please, Nicole. Thank you. Okay, so a few things to keep in mind. These are some pitfalls that we ran into in working with clients to get signed up. Like I mentioned before, do I have to be a pre-existing customer with internet service providers? So you're going to want to check with them, make sure you don't have to register for a plan ahead of time. Or if they have a hard deadline like T-Mobile and you may not qualify as a new customer. And then that kind of leads into my next point on the slide. The biggest pitfall we're finding in the process is contracts going past expected EBB deadlines. So you want to be very cautious of any ISP that's asking you to sign a contract. We're finding that some are actually asking clients to sign a 12 or 36-month contract, knowing that EBB, most certainly will not extend past that. I think they're kind of counting on another program, coming into place, or just charging the customer that full rate. But several aren't respecting the customer's right to opt out once EBB is finished, which we find very alarming, but they're doing it. So, and then, yeah, while helping a client, we caught Cox actually doing this. They were trying to pitch or trying to get her signed up for a 12 to 36-month contract. We were able to find her an EBB qualifying plan with them that did not require a contract. So they are there. It does take some awareness and reading the fine print, which again, as Connect Arizona digital navigators, we're here to help people with. That's what we love to do. We love going through the process and making sure that they're getting the best plan. And then, of course, is a device offered with EBB? If so, what device? Like Mala mentioned, this is typically a laptop or a tablet. Can this include a modem? We're finding that most ISPs will not let this apply to a modem. We did find one ISP that did, so it varies ISP to ISP, and you're definitely going to want to ask them, can I get a discount on device, and what device can I get a discount on if that is the case? And then the final thing is the ISP's qualifying plan actually saving costs? So we have helped clients actually do the math on this. We highly encourage and offer assistance with clients to do the math of this on applying EBB to a particular provider and plan. It's been well documented now, unfortunately, that Verizon is not applying EBB to their internet-only plan, which is roughly $62 a month, but instead applying it to a plan that costs $79 a month and basically provides the same service. There was an example of a customer of theirs in Virginia who was receiving aid from another source to cover part of the $62 a month plan. And if he had switched to EBB, he actually would have paid more. So something to be cautious of, which again, as digital navigators, we're here to help with. And that is actually all the info that I had. We encourage everyone to help get the word out about Connect Arizona. We're here, we're available to help with tech tutoring, tech assistance, tech trouble, via phone, email, text, Zoom, whatever the client prefers. And we're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So thank you so much for having us.
That was an incredible amount of great information, right? And so we wanted to offer an opportunity to ask any questions about this. I believe that right now in the state of Arizona, over 95,000 people have been able to sign up for the EBB program, which is very encouraging. We actually are fairly high up in the United States. And so the word has been getting out and people in need have been being reached. But do we have questions for anybody on the panel? That was a lot of information.
You know, I do encourage everyone to turn on their mic and to turn on their video. You can ask a question, either, write it down in chat, or down the bottom of the toolbar, you can see a button that says reaction. You can click on that and you can raise your hand. So, why this presentation was going on, Janet Major, who opened the program, had a little computer difficulty. Her internet went out. So she's trying to struggle with that, but it happens urban and in rural, and it's great that these programs are here to get people connected. I see Paul Stapleton Smith has just a comment that this is so timely and informative. Thank you so much for this presentation.
Oh, I can just ask a couple of questions of our team, because I know that we threw a lot of information. So you probably had a question like with the first person, right? So one of the questions that we run into is, how would we know? How would someone know if their current internet provider is participating in EBB? Sometimes that can be a challenge.
So do you want to take that question?
Go ahead, Mala. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. The list of those who are participating is available on Connect-Arizona website. Is it possible for you, Nicole, to share that with us? If you get to that site and hit the online button on the top, you will see all the EBB information. Get online for EBB, yeah, and for the internet offers, you should see who is participating. We have a list of those that are participating in the program. Not all service providers are participating, some because they too have to pass a stringent qualifying standard with FCC. And if there has been any in the past, I think it's on the EBB site, EBB button, Nicole. If they have had any outstanding payments to the government and those kind of things, they do not qualify. So that service provider may not be, yes, there you go. So you will see here the list of Arizona service providers, and you can check whether your service provider is available.
Paul, did you have a question?
I do, thank you. And Mala, thank you very much for the innovation, everybody actually, for the innovation that this requires. I just came from one of our important community partners meeting, United Way of Tucson and Southern Arizona, for example. And my question is, right now, of course, we all feel the clock ticking. What is the single greatest challenge we have in getting people signed up today? One, the follow-on question is, what community partners or organizations do you really wish we had at the table with us, if you will? And Tracy, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you.
Well, I just might jump in and say, every organization that is a trusted one in the community. So obviously United Way is one of those, the Department of Economic Security, resource centers, faith communities. I mean, literally everyone needs to have this information. And I think we're all working to do that. And grassroots movements do an incredible work of accomplishing that, right? So I think even just showing that 250,000 people have access to the connect-arizona.com website is showing that that's happening. but I would work networks of networks. And Nicole, Brandon, Mala, would you add things to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think 10 days ago when I looked at the statistics on who had applied, Puerto Rico did not show up on it at all, maybe way down at the bottom of the 50 states. And well, we were number 7 at that time in the whole of the United States in the number of households that had applied. But just within 10 days, Puerto Rico had signed up 104,000 people.
Wow.
Somebody did something there, door to door, or whatever they did, to succeed in signing up so many people within a matter of 10 days. So I would encourage you, whatever be the networks you are in, talk to them and see if we can get, even if they're getting it only for a couple of months or so, or 3, it is going to tide them over. And I have immense faith that when they see that this program is getting utilized so much, that there will be more money put into this. I don't swear by it, but I know that our congressmen are listening and are hearing what is going on. They wouldn't have otherwise done this for the homework help, and every single big law that is coming into existence has something to do with broadband and infrastructure build out. So they see the importance of it. And the problem is that what we want to do is to make sure that the underserved and the unserved are getting the affordable broadband because they need it. The other second thing that I would emphasize is try to talk to them about adoption of broadband. When they don't know what they can do with the internet, they're likely not to want it. So if I can go without going to a movie or going for dinner out, or celebrating my birthday without all those frills, if I lose internet access for one day, I'm dead in the water. That's because I know what I can use it for and what it's serving me for. So we don't want people to be that addicted to it, but I think if they know what the benefits are for them, if we know what their pain points are and how we can help them with it, they will adopt internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need. They need to be aware. They need to want it before we can sell it to them.
And if I may, this is Paul again. Can I just follow on, Mala? As I'm just getting ready to get on the phone with some more potential partners, what kind of, I know this has to be something of an intuitive take, because we said underserved, most vulnerable families. We're on the same page that way. I canvassed those neighborhoods with the emergency broadband benefit literature, literally. And here's where I'm going with it. In Arizona right now, how many people do you think, how many families, how many households do we have sort of capacity wise that we should be giving this to and haven't yet gotten them connected? I know that's a vague number, an intuitive number, while I see you smiling. But in your heart, you think we should have an additional 200,000 families signed up in this plan, for example?
I think, Nicole, you have better statistics on this, but because Nicole has done a lot of statistical studies on this. You go first, and if I need to supplement, I will.
Well, Paul, I wish we could talk all day, honestly, because thinking about broadband data, it's really hard to just give a number for a number of different reasons, but the one that I tend to rest on is this 1.3 million Arizonans. So that's individuals within households, and that's about wired home internet connections that meet a minimum speed standard that's actually the required definition of broadband. So anything less than 25 megabits down doesn't count as access. But we also know a lot of people rely on cell phone plans only, or cell phone data, to meet their needs online. We don't really have good numbers on, we actually do have numbers on who has phones only, but we don't tend to include that in this number because we really want to know who has access to that quality, resilient, and affordable broadband. We can certainly break these down, and one of our future iterations for the site is actually to provide some of this specific data, because we know that this, is spread out by age as a huge factor, where older adults tend to not be broadband subscribers. We know income, of course. This is, another one of my favorite charts to show, where we can really see that it's about income. And we know that communities of color are disproportionately impacted, as well as tribal lands are disproportionately impacted. So all of these things kind of have to go into, who can have access or not. But then what's harder to measure is who can use the internet effectively, who's comfortable online, who's confident, whether it's telehealth, like think of all the steps that you have to do to be able to interface with that healthcare provider. And if you've never used a computer for the first time, and I'm sure many of us on the call, have been in this situation, it's kind of you're at a loss on how to move forward. So it's kind of a challenge to say, like, well, this is how many people are on the wrong side of the digital divide, when we really have that kind of expansive view of connectivity, devices, and skills, which, by the way, you don't take one computer class and then suddenly you're done. It's a lifelong process of being able to adapt and continue to gain skills over time.
And just to add to what Nicole said, we are doing a speed test next week. Actually, the whole week we've dedicated to having libraries do a speed test and we gather that information and try to kind of map it and see who's got connectivity, what speeds of connectivity do they have, and is it really what they paid for or less? And of course, there are very many reasons why it could be less, and the latency and those kind of things. How long does it take for that page to load, when it goes in circles, and those kind of things. So there are a lot of factors. It's a very good question and very loaded, and really has to be researched a lot in detail. But if we can get 1 million people signed up, that would be awesome.
And I think, Chris, did you have a question? You had your hand up for a long time.
I was being patient. Paul kind of did ask my question. First of all, I was blown away with the numbers with Puerto Rico. And so I just wanted to know how many families in Arizona had already participated. And, really kudos to all of your hard work to make us number 7. That's excellent. I know there's a ways to go. But then I also wanted to know from start to finish, how long does it take a person to sign up for the EBB program?
They have to, if they have all their ducks in a row, that is, if they have all the details that they need, their household income or their loss of job document and their driver's license or anything else that they may need to prove their identity and address, all that. The form filling doesn't take more than 10 minutes. It really doesn't, but it's gathering all that, making sure that you have, and what I'll do is in the presentation that we just showed, I didn't load the application form. I have the application form available, and I will put that before we send it to Chris, to you, so that you can see what the application involves. It's really not complicated, and it's no more than you would fill out. I think it takes longer to fill out a form at the doctor's office talking about all the things that you possibly could have had from childhood till then than it takes to fill that form. But the caveat is you need to have all your ducks in a row. You need to have the documents with you. So it's important to read what documents are needed beforehand, or to have a copy of the application form in front of you so you can gather it together and then upload the information.
We do in the chat have a nice comment from Jeff Russell. Thank you. Looking forward to spreading the word in the Wickenburg Hospital area, including Weaver Mountain and locations such as Congress, Yarnell, Peoples Valley, Wilmont, and others. We will spread the word through nonprofits and the hospitals. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We're coming up to the hour. Mala, do you have a closing thoughts?
Not closing thoughts, but I had a couple of things after Brandon's presentation that I made note of that I wanted to highlight. Brandon spoke about the fact that different service providers offer either you come to the store and pick up the device, or you go to, or they would somehow get the device to you, or things like that. One of them, T-Mobile at least, has said that they would give the devices to any library that is willing to hold it for them till the customers in that area are willing to come and get it from them. So let's say in Yarnell, if they want maybe 10 devices or 15 devices, if the library can hold those for them, the customers can come and get it from them instead of trying to find a T-Mobile store to go to, or have T-Mobile mail it to them. But of course, not all libraries are jumping at it and willing to hold them, because it does take some FTE, to do that. And many of them are either volunteer run libraries or open minimal hours right now. So they hesitate to accept the responsibility to do that. So I just wanted to say that. And the other thing was the $100 discount that Brandon spoke about goes to the service providers that are willing to get these devices for you. The customers pay not more than $50 for any piece. The most expensive piece that the service provider is willing to offer, if he gives you a choice, $50 is the maximum they can collect from you as the customer.
That's great.
Well, any closing words?
I just want to say that, this responsibility is with all of us. We have the opportunity to share the good news out there. And the more that we do that together, walking alongside, getting people to the support they needed, I think there can only be a great feeling on all our parts that we're making that difference.
Yes.
Thank you. On behalf of the Arizona Telemedicine Program and the Southwest Telehealth Resource Center, Tracy and your team, thank you so much for this informative and useful, timely webinar. I see my director, Dr. Ronald Weinstein, just joined in. I don't know if he has a closing thought or not.
Well, I thought it was a fantastic presentation. So I congratulate all of you. We'll figure out a way to get this into one of our upcoming Arizona Telemedicine Council meetings. But it's spectacular. Thank you so much.
We are honored. We're honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Love the partnership. And again, Janet sends her apologies, but her computer went out. We're having a little weather here in Tucson. So thank you again. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tracy, Nicole, everyone else, Brandon.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, team.
Mhm.